Prabhu, for suggesting Brajajivan Prabhu to take up this service. Thank you so much, Prabhu. We are so grateful.
Thank you, Mataji, for mentioning this, and it's all due to the. I mean, of course, it's the desire of Shankarananda Prabhu that has manifested, and also the explanations are coming from the acharyas. I'm glad that I could be a medium to just communicate whatever they have communicated.
Yes, Prabhu, it shows your humility, but only thing, Prabhu, how you were putting in a systematic way, I was so surprised. I've been writing the notes, all the notes, started writing the notes, and for the last 2 weeks, I was writing so much. You shared so much, and it was so wonderful, Prabhu. Actually, all your hard work, really, I think Krishna will be pleased, and of course, Shankarananda Prabhu will be definitely pleased. Thank you to Shankarananda Prabhu and also Rajivan Prabhu for taking up this.
Rajivan Prabhu, I'll say, if you can also share the notes that you are making. I know they are very raw, but I like that.
Yes, Prabhuji. I have previously shared in the group. I'll share it again, Prabhuji. Yes, it is available.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Seriously, as Narun Marji said, we are really indebted to you. It's really
Prabhu, thank you. Okay, so we can start the session. Let me share my screen. Let's actually look at this one. So last time we saw the verse Siddhantatah tu abhede api Shri Krishna Shrisha Krishna Swarupayoho rasena utkrishyate Krishna Rupam yesha rasastitihi. That is that the difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Vishnu is the husband of Lakshmi. He is famous for known as husband of Lakshmi. And the difference between Krishna and Vishnu is zero when you are looking at it from the Siddhanta point of view. Because they are only one person. They are not two different persons. Krishna is not one person and then Vishnu is another person. It's not like that. Both of them are same only by Siddhanta. However, the form of Krishna is eminent or superior because of the rasas that are associated with Krishna. The rasas that Krishna possesses. Just to give an example that to Krishna, we can have 5 different types of rasas, but to Vishnu, more or less you have Dasi rasa and Santa rasa, that's it. But with Krishna, you can have Santa, Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakya, and Madhurya rasa. This opportunity is given to all the living entities. But with Vishnu, mostly it is given to Lakshmi for Madhurya rasa, but for other rasas, with Krishna, it is given to all the living entities. So that is why Krishna's form is very, very preeminent. Okay. So we'll look into the commentary of Jiva Goswami, which is quite big. And he's going to establish how this Krishna's form is superior and which Krishna's form is superior. So Yata Uktam Kurukshetra Yatrayam Ashtapattha Mahishi Itara Mahishi Bihi. So in the Kurukshetra Yatra, that is when Krishna and the other Dwarakavasis, they went to Kurukshetra, they met Brajavasis because they also came there. And there, the queens, other than the 8 principal queens, they are reciting a prayer. Okay. So the queens other than the 8 queens, because the 8 queens are satisfied with their relationship with Krishna, but the other queens are desiring for something else. And that is displayed by Jiva Goswami here. So he is quoting the verse from the 83rd chapter of the 10th canto, 41 to 43. Na vayam sadhvi samrajyam swarajyam bhaujyam apyuta vairajyam parameshtham cha anantyam va hare padam kamayamahe. So this is the first sentence, it is ending here. So what are they saying? The 16,000 queens, the 16,100 queens. Okay, there are 16,108 queens in Dwaraka. Apart from the 8 queens, the 16,100 queens are reciting this prayer. And what are they saying in that? Na vayam kamayamahe. We don't desire. What they don't desire? They don't desire Samrajya. Samrajya here, Jiva Goswami is giving the explanation. Samrajyam means Sarubhaumam. Samrajya means rulership of the entire world. We see that the politicians, when it comes to the election season, they work very hard. Day and night, they don't sleep. Why? Just to become prime minister or president of one country. Just for one country out of, the 180 plus countries in the whole world. And think about the rulership of the whole world. How much more attractive will it be for the people of the whole world, and especially to those who are aspiring after it, right? But the 16,100 queens, they are not desiring that. They can easily attain that because Krishna just says, Tathastu, that's it. They can just get that Samraja. They are not desiring that. Sarubhauma. Swarajyam. Swa means Swargaloka. Swarajyam means the Rajya of the Swargaloka, the kingdom of the Swargaloka. That is Indra Padam. That is the Indra's position. They are not desiring that as well. Bhaujyam Apyuta. Bhaujya means enjoyment. Enjoyment of Samrajya and Swarajya. They are not desiring that. Vairajyam. They are not desiring Vairajya also. What is Vairajyam? Animadisidhya Virajamanatvam. Possessing all the siddhis, starting from Anima, Lagima, and so on and so forth. So they are not desiring that because that is even better than Indra's position. You are a yogi. Now you are possessed with naturally all these 8 siddhis, and you will be eligible to go planets higher than Indraloka. They're not desiring that as well. Parameshtyam. Parameshtyam, the topmost abode of Brahma in this world. That is the Brahma Loka. And they are not desiring to take control of that as well. Parameshtyam. And Anantyam. So what is Anantyam? So what is beyond Brahma? That is being explained by Jiva Goswami, quoting from Taittiriya Upanishad. He quotes this verse, Ete shatam ityadi shruti ritya manushyananna marabhya shata gunittvena prajapatasya garanaya param kashtam darshayitva param brahmani tu yataka vachaha nivartante ityanena yad anandasya anantyam darshitam tadapi iti attaha. So let's go to the Taittiriya Upanishad to understand what he is quoting that to explain the meaning of Anantya. Okay, this is very small. So this is the Taittiriya Upanishad, second chapter, 8th section, and the first verse. So we will not read this first part. The second part, it says, this is the deliberation on the bliss. What is bliss? What are the different levels of bliss? That is going to be discussed in this particular section in Taittiriya Upanishad. Suppose there is a young man who has properly studied the Vedas and qualified to teach to other students. There is a young boy, or not young boy, young man. Young man means his senses are very good, and it is the prime position of a human body. Like, if when you are youthful, you get all the, good things of your life. Beyond youth, then it starts declining, right? And before youthfulness, you don't have full maturity. The youth is the prime part, where everything is, favoring you in your bodily platform, right? So that young man, and he has also studied Vedas. He's not just ignorant fool. He has studied Vedas, and he is also qualified to teach to others. That means he understood, grasped the entire meaning of the Vedas, and then he can teach to others also. He is healthy. No bodily discomfort, no diseases, nothing he is possessing. And he is physically strong. And he is also mentally strong. Mentally strong means he can think very clearly and he can understand situations as it is, as they are. He does not have any confusion about it. To that person, the earth becomes full of wealth. That means the earth belongs to him. Why? Because using his mental strength, he can control others. Using his physical strength and physical beauty and everything, he can attract others, he can influence others. All this power is within him. That status is human bliss. We are not even in that status, right? Our mental strength is not so much strong that we can influence anyone and everyone in the world. We are not so much physically strong, and some of us are not even in the prime youth, and we are not studied all the Vedas. Okay, if all these things are done, that is the pinnacle of human bliss. What you can achieve in the humanly world, the highest bliss. That is what here is mentioned. That is the first level of bliss. Then it says, if one multiplies the human bliss 100 times, it becomes 1 unit of the bliss of a Manushya Gandharva. Manushya Gandharva. This part, ignore it. It will keep on repeating and of a liberated soul. I'll tell at the end, but ignore that for time being. So if you take that human bliss and you multiply that by 100 times, then you get the 1 unit of bliss of Manushya Gandharva. Manushya Gandharva is a person who has attained the Gandharva status by doing a lot of punya while he is in this world. He was not Gandharva from the beginning of the Manvantara. In the beginning of the Manvantara, the Devas, the Gandharvas are all created, but he's not that one of them. He has attained that position by doing punya in the middle of the Manvantara. So he has attained that position. Then, if one multiplies the Manushya Gandharva, that bliss of that Manushya Gandharva by 100 times, then it becomes the 1 unit of bliss of Deva Gandharva. So Deva Gandharva is the person who is from the beginning of the Manvantara, he is a Gandharva. He's not like attained in between that position. From the beginning throughout the entire Manvantara, he is a Gandharva. So that is the Deva Gandharva. Then it becomes the bliss of Deva Gandharva. The bliss of Deva Gandharva is 1 unit of bliss of Deva Gandharva is 100 times multiplication of the total bliss of the Manushya Gandharva. Okay, so first the human bliss, then the Manushya Gandharva's bliss, then the Deva Gandharva's bliss. Higher and higher we are going. If one multiplies the Deva Gandharva bliss 100 times, it comes 1 unit of the Pitris on their long-lasting planet. Now multiply that Gandharva who is from the beginning of the Manvantara, his bliss total 100 times. Then you get to the bliss of the Pitru, the Pitas who are situated in the Pitruloka. Their bliss is much, much, much more higher. That is why people desire to go to the Pitruloka, right? It's incomparable, to even the Gandharva's bliss also. If one multiplies the bliss of the Pitris by 100 times, it becomes 1 unit of the bliss of the being born on Devaloka. Then now we are entering into Swargaloka. So you do punya activities and you go to Swargaloka, then the bliss you are getting, the 1 unit of that bliss is 100 times the bliss of the Pitrulokas, that their whole bliss combined together. So the Swargaloka, just entering into the Swargaloka, you are just an ordinary citizen, ordinary resident in the Swargaloka. Even that bliss is incomparable when we compare to the Pitruloka residents. Okay. Now, if one multiplies the bliss of being born on the Devaloka 100, it becomes the bliss of the Karma Deva. So Karma Deva is very similar to the Manushya Gandharva. So one can become a demigod by doing some activity or punya activity in this life, and then you can become a demigod. So usually the demigods are appointed in the beginning of the Manvantara, but then in between also you can become another demigod, which is very similar to Indra, Chandra, and so on, but not exactly them, right? Because those positions are already occupied from the beginning of the Manvantara. So this is the Karma Devata. By your karma, you have attained that position. That is higher than the bliss of the ordinary resident in the Swargaloka. So you are not anymore ordinary resident. You are like, you have attained a demigod status in the heavenly planets. So that means you are being worshipped by the citizens there. If one multiplies the bliss of a Karma Deva by 100, it becomes the 1 unit of a bliss of being a Devata. Now this is the Devata who is from the beginning of the Manvantara, he is appointed as a Devata. He's not in between, he became a Devata. So that Devata's bliss is 100 times. 1 unit of the Devata's bliss is 100 times higher than the Karma Devata who has, in between attained that position. Now, if you multiply that, so how many Devatas are there? There are 33 in number. If you look at the Wikipedia, it will list out who are the 33 Devatas. You have the 8 Vasus, Then you have 12 Adityas, then 11 Rudras, and then 2 Ashwinis, and the twin solar deities. Also, all of these are the 33 deities. So these are the appointed devatas from the beginning of the Manvantara. They get oblations. The karma devatas don't get oblations from the sacrificial fire. These devatas, the real devatas, are the persistent devatas. They get the oblation offering. Now, if you want to multiply the devatas bliss by 100 times, that becomes the 1 unit of bliss of Indra. Now we see the position of Indra. That's huge position. If one multiplies the bliss of Indra by 100, it becomes the bliss of Brihaspati. Brihaspati, the teacher of Indra. His bliss is even much more higher compared to Indra's bliss. It's very, very high position, Brihaspati. If one multiplies the bliss of Brihaspati by 100, it becomes the bliss of Brahma. So we are now going into the Brahmaloka. Brahma's bliss is incomparable to the bliss compared to bliss of Brihaspati. So much more. Compare that with the Brahma's bliss with the humanly world bliss that we are talking about. How much it is. Then if one multiplies the bliss of Brahma by 100, it becomes the bliss of Brahman. So Brahman means the spiritual world, starting from beyond the material world, that Brahma Jyoti onwards, right? So here it says 100. The commentary will say actually 100 is just an indicatory number, but you cannot even compare the bliss of Brahman. Why? Because next statement it will say that. Okay. So the next statement, let's go skip all these things and then go straight away to Yataha vachaha nivartante. The person who knows blissful Brahman from which minds and words turn back. That means you cannot even explain the bliss you have achieved there. Your words have to come back. So because that means your words cannot express. Neither your mind can express that bliss. Sometimes we think so many things in our mind, we are not able to put properly in words because mind is much more capable. We can see a whole movie running in our mind, but we can only put something in our words, right? So the mind is much more capable. Even the mind cannot explain what is the bliss that is being achieved there. So now coming back to this yataha vachaha nivartante, right? So this is what he is quoting, yataha vachaha nivartante, and that bliss is anantya. So they are not even desiring the bliss of entering into the spiritual realm, starting from the Brahma Jyoti. They do not desire that. So this is much more higher bliss compared to the humanly world bliss and other people. Va Hare Padam. They are not desiring even the planet of Hari. Here Hari means Vaikuntanatha or Vishnu, because here he clarifies it. Hari means Shripati, the husband of Lakshmi, Shri. They do not desire to be close to Vishnu also. This is the 16,100 queens are explaining. Abhi yadetat sarvam api na kamayamahe. We do not desire all of these things. Na adhinam kartum ichchamahe. We do not want to become even dependent on that. Tari kim adhikam labdhum kamayadhe. Then what are you desiring if you are not desiring all these things? Tatra ahuho. There they are saying, etasya Srimad Pada Rajaha. We are desiring the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. That is what we are desiring. Look at that. How much the value of the dust has been put compared to all the bliss we have talked about. That is what they are desiring. They give up. They are naturally attracted to the dust of the Lord Krishna, and then they have given up everything else. So whose dust is here? The word is given. Gadabhrataha. Here he is giving the explanation. Etasya asmat patitvena sarva vigyatasya gadabhrataha. So the person who is known as our husband, who is holding Gada. Krishna in Dwaraka and Mathura, he is holding Gada also. And he is well known as our husband. That person's lotus feet dust, we wanna carry on our head. Murdna vodum kamayamahe. So they are desiring that. They want to carry that dust in their head. Tatra api, not just simply dust. There is some qualification added to that. Tatra api yat shriyaha kucha kunkuma gandhena adyam tad gandhena prapta sampad vishesham tat punaha adhikam kamayamahe ityartaha. So what the dust has been touched by the breast of the Shri. Shri is what Jiva Goswami will explain what is this Shri. Right now, let's take Shri means Lakshmi. Okay. So it is RC means consort of Krishna. So the consort of Krishna, that is Shri, the kunkuma that has come from the breast of the Shri, that has touched the Krishna's lotus feet, and that dust they are desiring. So why this is important? Because here is establishing the context of which Krishna are they desiring. Okay, so he has to now, Jiva Goswami will go in length to establish who is this Shri. Is this Shri referring to Lakshmi located in the Vishnu Loka? Then that means the Pada Raja or the dust of the lotus feet they are desiring is not Krishna, that is Vishnu's, right? So then he has to establish who is this Shri. So he will go in length after this point onwards to establish who is this Shri. So we'll continue from next session on this part. Whose dust, lotus feet dust, they are really desiring. Okay, any questions, any comments, any concerns?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for wonderfully taking us into the explanations of previous acharyas. Actually, before I ask my question, I want to express one more thing, Prabhu. Now, actually, after going through almost all the sessions of your previous lectures, I understand actually exactly what is Bhakti Rasāmṛta Sindhu and what are the different sections and where we are right now. Very clear picture has come into my mind, Prabhuji. So thank you so much for all that. And fortunately, everything was recorded. So, even though it's not in YouTube, but everything was recorded on Facebook. So it was very nice. It was really helping. Prabhuji, my question is, you said the 16,108 wives, right? So 16,100 wives are not satisfied. 8 wives are satisfied. So why they are not satisfied? Will you be explaining next week or?
No, so basically it is like that their position is like the Uddhavas. It's not like they're not satisfied. It means they want to give up their position and want to attain some other position. So they are thinking, their mood is always like that. Their mood is always, they are thinking somebody else is higher than them. And they are satisfied with that position. When they are not satisfied with their position, means it's not like they want to give up and then they want to attain somebody else's position.
My question is, are they expecting anything more from Krishna? Something more, what they expected from Krishna are not obtained by them or something like that? So that is
just like Uddhava, we discussed about Uddhava. I mean, the Bhagavatam discusses Uddhava, right? Uddhava, when he went to Vrindavan, then he saw the love of the gopis. And then he thought, okay, that's actually much, much more. Then he said that I want to become a grass in Vrindavan. Doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be Uddhava anymore and then he want to be just a grass in the Vrindavan. His mood is always like that. He's putting the gopis' love above his own position. And he's satisfied with this position of just realizing that. And that is their mood. Similarly, the queens, 16,100, the queen's mood is also like that. Because they understand the value that something is higher. Something is higher doesn't mean I want to become that person. Like, for example, Krishna's position or Radha's position, they are much, much more higher. When we accept that Radha's position is much, much, much more superior compared to all the devotees, but doesn't mean that we want to become Radha, right? So we accept eternally that her position is supremely glorious. So, but we will be in our own position as Das. Similarly, the 16,100 queens also, they are accepting some other position as superior, but they want to be in their own position. But showing that Jiva Goswami is establishing what is actually superior, or the superior form here it is being mentioned.
So, yeah, this is understandable. Then how about the first eight queens satisfying? They feel they are superior.
They feel they are the superiors. Rukmini is not going to think that Radha is superior to me, obviously, or even Satyabhama is not going to think like that. So they are satisfied with their question.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. Rohinindulal Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for explaining the order of the bliss. It's very interesting to hear. I have one reflection, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yesterday I was talking about Pruthha Maharaj's prayers. So he also starts with rejecting the material benedictions first. And then he says that I don't want liberation also, even though you are Kaivalyapati. I don't want liberation. Then he aspires for millions of years with which he can hear the Krishna Katha from the mouths of pure devotees. Because whatever is coming out from the mouths of the pure devotees contains the dust of the mercy particles, the dust particles of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is sitting within the heart. And I was comparing that with what gopis were aspiring. They were aspiring for the dust of Lord Krishna.
That's all.
Yeah, looks like the aspirations of the pure devotees always look similar. And towards the end, Pruthha Maharaj just settles with the service that Mother Lakshmi is doing. I want the similar service, but in a Dasya Bhava.
Dasya Bhava. So that's where the difference. I mean, though it looks very similar, but the different rasas they are aspiring for is completely different. As you said it clearly, Pruthha Maharaj wants to aspire for the Dasya Bhava of Vishnu, and then here the gopis are aspiring for Krishna's form.
Yeah. I was just, because I recently spoke, I was trying to connect what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Nice,
much.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
So one thing I feel, right, when we perform devotional service, and the bliss of Brahma is much more greater than what a ordinary human being experiences. But the sadhaka's bliss seems to be much far behind, even though he's doing some devotional service. So how do you do you like to give some points on that? What's actually?
Yeah, so what in the beginning stages of Bhakti we experience, very, very beginning stage of Bhakti is Bhakti Sukha. It is not even the Ruchi that is being explained in the stages of Bhakti. So in the stage of Ruchi, we'll actually know how much bliss even the practicing devotional services. The stage of Ruchi, right? We start from Shraddha, Anartha Nivriti, not Shraddha, Anishtita Bhakti, and then Nishta Bhakti, and then Ruchi. And then you have Asakti, and until then, it is all sadhana stage. So the Ruchi we'll realize the actual bliss of practicing devotional service, and that will just, as Vishnu Chakravarti has explained in Madhurya Kadamini, that he will start forgetting the whole world. That is the bliss of sadhana bhakti. Before that, we are experiencing a little bit of that bhakti sukha. And that's why it's not enough to capture us completely and make us give up everything else. But it has some taste, and that is why we are still continuing through that. We want to hear about Krishna, we want to chant his names, or we want to learn about Krishna, and then we feel nice about it when we meet the devotees or whatever it is. There is some taste we are realizing, so we are just sticking to the path. But when it goes to the more and more, when it grows, then we will just start ignoring everything else and then focus on that. And that stage of Ruchi is like much, much, much more, much closer to the, Sadhya Bhakti.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Looks like it's exponential.
So, Prabhu, is it in relationship to Mokshada Laghukrita? This rejecting
Yes, Prabhuji, you have put it nicely. I think that's I think Jiva Goswami is explaining in that verse that the moksha lagudha happens in the stage of bhava.
Okay.
So because by the stage of bhava, one's ahankara is destroyed, and he has already attained the bliss of liberation, and then he does not want that.
So I'll just share some realization that I have every day in the morning. So early morning, by the 30 minutes within the sunrise, right? It's recommended if you have the eye problem, like you have specs and all, you can gaze at the sun within 30 minutes of rising, not after that. So I try to do that exercise every day in the morning, especially in the summertime, because sun rises very early and northeast our side is very clear. So sun is visible within 15-20 minutes after rising. So I try to gaze for 5 minutes at the sun without seeing anything, and just remove the specs and just gaze at the sun. When you're gazing at the sun, all the things around you, they appear dark. Though there's so much colorful variety, homes, cars, and garden, full of flowers and all, everything appears dark and black. It becomes obvious. And I mean, it doesn't really attract at all. I was thinking, similarly, a person whose mind is absorbed in Krishna, this whole material existence and all the benedictions of this world, they appear dark and without any rasa.
So, very nice realization, bro.
So I think no wonder that devotees deride, or leave the material benedictions. They don't care for those.
They don't care for those. They're completely focused on that. There is nothing else. It's visible even to their eyes, and even if it is visible, also looks very dark.
And in fact, almost for 2-3 minutes, everything I come in the home, everything appears dark.
What is this? Thank you, Prabhuji.
So yeah, I have one question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Prabhuji, thank you. Before I ask, thank you so much for all the explanation you provided for the bliss today. So you mentioned different categories in the bliss. So when you mention about the Manushya Devta and after that Karma Devta and then Devta, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Manushya Devta is the ordinary person on the planet of Devta, right?
That's just a resident.
Just a resident.
Resident. That's not Manushya Devata. That's just a resident. That's all. The resident of heavenly planets. Then you have Karma Devata, and then you have the Devata.
And so who is Karma Devata?
So Karma Devata is it. As mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning of a Manvantara, we have 14 Manvantaras in the day of a Brahma. So in the beginning of each Manvantara, the demigods get changed. Indra changes every time. Every Manvantara, he gets changed. New Indra comes, right? So those 33 Devatas are established in the beginning of the Manvantara. They continue their position until the end of the Manvantara. So that position cannot be occupied by any human being performing pious activities during the Manvantara. If they have accumulated enough piety to become Indra or something like that, they have to wait for the next Manvantara to attain that position. Like we have Bali Maharaj, who will become next to Indra, correct? So he has to wait for the Manvantara to get over. But in between, if you have some lesser punya compared to, you cannot become Indra, but you have gained some, good amount of punya, then you can become a Karma Devata, which is like a demigod position. You are not an ordinary resident anymore of Sargaloka. You are like a demigod status is given to you, or Devata status is given to you. But you are also different from the regular Devatas because they are established throughout the Manvantara, and then you became like in between and person got appointed.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, now makes sense.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
So I just make a statement that
yes, Prabhu.
The exercise that I do, I don't recommend everyone to do because until if you have direction from some Ayurvedic doctor, don't do that.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay. Yes, Mataji, Goklatani Mataji.
Prabhuji, that was from Jesla Prabhupada. And yesterday also, Rohini Tilal Prabhuji mentioned that carrying the Lord in the heart. I think you said something similar to that, but not exactly same. So when a devotee thinks about the Lord, does it consider as he's carrying the Lord in the heart?
So,
and also there are mentioned in different
The Lord
scriptures
is
by
always there in the heart as Paramatma, even if one is not a devotee. But when one carries the Lord in the heart, it is that Ishta Devata they are carrying in the heart. For example, for us, when we become devotees of Krishna, then we start carrying Krishna in our heart, not Paramatma anymore. Particular form of the Lord.
Okay, thanks, Prabhuji. So that means it is reference to the form of the Lord, which we
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Rohinathala Prabhu, you want to add anything?
No, that's true, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you, devotees. We'll stop here. We'll continue next week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Braji Controls.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. I'm glad. So happy to hear you.
So happy to hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Very well.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Panchakalpurusya kripasindhu peyavachapaitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Anandapuryo vaishnavas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.